Tai shielded his eyes from the morning sun as he hiked through the forest trail. 6 years as a park ranger had taught him to appreciate the quiet moments before tourists arrived. Birds sang overhead, and a gentle breeze rustled the pines. This remote mountain region was his responsibility, his sanctuary. The explosion changed everything. It began with a sound unlike anything he'd heard before, a high-pitched whine that seemed to pierce the air itself. Then came a flash of light beyond the ridge. Todd broke into a run, dodging branches and leaping over fallen logs. The ground trembled beneath his boots. He reached the ridge and froze. A massive gouge had been carved through the forest. Trees snapped like twigs for nearly half a kilometer. At the end of this destruction sat a metallic object roughly the size of a small bus. It glowed with an eerie blue light that pulsed rhythmically. "Control, this is Ranger Tai," he said into his radio, but only static answered. Whatever this thing was, it was interfering with communications. Tai approached carefully, stepping over smoking debris. The object was clearly not from Earth. Its smooth surface bore no seams or rivets, and strange symbols were etched across its hull. As he drew closer, he noticed a transparent section that resembled a viewport. Something moved inside. Inside the crashed vessel, Jaya fought to remain conscious. Warning sirens blared as emergency systems struggled to compensate for the damage. Her slender blue fingers danced across control panels, but it was no use. The research ship was beyond repair. Catastrophic system failure, the ship's computer announced in the musical language of her people. Life support failing. External atmosphere toxic. Gravity exceeding safe parameters. Jaya's 3 hearts pounded rapidly in her chest cavity. Her large, almond-shaped eyes blinked rapidly as she tried to process her situation. The mission was supposed to be simple. Observe the Class 12 Deathworld from orbit, collect data, and return home. No Ellerin had ever set foot on such a dangerous planet. Their physiology wasn't designed for it. The screens around her displayed readings that confirmed her worst fears. Oxygen levels toxic to her species, gravity nearly double what her skeletal structure could safely handle, radiation that would slowly poison her, and temperatures that fluctuated wildly. Earth was exactly as the Galactic Classification Database had described it, a nightmare planet that somehow supported intelligent life. "Initiate emergency protocols," Jaya commanded, her voice trembling. The computer responded by injecting emergency stabilizers into her bloodstream. A thin protective film formed over her skin, creating a temporary barrier against Earth's hostile atmosphere. It wouldn't last long, but it might give her time to establish contact with the Ellerin fleet. The ship's external cameras activated, showing a bipedal creature approaching. Jaya gasped. A human. The apex predator of this terrible world. Beings who had evolved on this death trap, whose bodies could withstand poisons, extreme temperatures, crushing gravity, and radiation. Creatures whose history was filled with violence and warfare. "Remain calm," she told herself. "Remember your training." With no other choice, Jaya activated the emergency exit sequence. The ship's door hissed open, releasing a cloud of purplish gas, the remnants of her ship's internal atmosphere. Todd jumped back as the craft's side suddenly split open. Purplish mist spilled out, quickly dissipating in the mountain air. He raised his arm to cover his nose and mouth, not knowing if the strange vapor was dangerous. When the mist cleared, Todd found himself staring at the most extraordinary sight of his life. A slender creature stood in the doorway, humanoid but clearly not human. It stood about 1.5 meters tall with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer slightly. Its head was slightly larger than a human's, dominated by enormous eyes with vertical pupils. 6-fingered hands trembled at its sides. "Hello," Ta said softly, raising empty hands to show he meant no harm. He felt an odd urge to smile, to somehow convey peacefulness to this alien visitor. Jaya's translator implant captured the sound waves, analyzed the language pattern, and provided an approximate translation. The human was attempting communication, rather than attacking immediately. This contradicted many of the reports about Deathworlders, who were said to react with violence to any unknown entity. She took a tentative step forward and nearly collapsed. Earth's gravity pulled at her body painfully. Even breathing required conscious effort, the oxygen-rich air burning her respiratory system despite the protective film. The brightness of the sun, even filtered through the forest canopy, made her sensitive eyes water. Come, peace, she managed to say through her translator, which struggled to form the harsh consonants of human language. Tay's eyes widened. You can speak our language. Translation device, Jaya explained, pointing to a small disc attached near her throat. Not perfect. A wave of dizziness hit her, and she stumbled. Without thinking, Ta lunged forward to catch her before she fell. His hands gripped her slender arms gently. Jaya stiffened at the contact. The human's body temperature was shockingly high, like touching a heating element. She could feel his strength, the dense muscle mass that evolved in this crushing gravity. He could break her bones without effort, yet his touch was carefully controlled. You're hurt, Ta said, noticing how the alien winced. Or maybe our planet is hurting you. Jaya nodded weakly. Your world, very dangerous for my kind. Ta looked around the forest, seeing it suddenly through alien eyes. The peaceful woods he patrolled daily must seem like a death trap to this visitor. My cabin is nearby. It's safe there. I can help you. Jaya weighed her options. Her ship was destroyed. The emergency beacon would take days to reach her people. Without shelter and assistance, she would not survive Earth's harsh conditions. Why help me? She asked. Ta shrugged. Because you need it. This simple answer confused Jaya more than anything else about this strange world. On her own planet, unknown beings were threats to be studied from a distance, not helped. My name is Ta, he said slowly, pointing to himself. Jaya, she replied, using the closest approximation of her name that human vocal cords could pronounce. As Ta carefully supported Jaya's weight, helping her walk away from the crashed ship, neither realized they were making history, the first peaceful contact between their species, and neither understood how much they would come to learn from each other in the days ahead. The walk to Ta's cabin took 3 times longer than normal. Jia struggled with each step as Earth's gravity pulled at her slender frame. What would have been a 20-minute hike for Ta became a grueling hour-long journey for the alien visitor. Twice she needed to stop and rest, her breathing labored and her blue skin taking on a worrying grayish tint. Almost there, Ta encouraged as they crested the final hill. His cabin came into view, a simple wooden structure nestled among tall pines. To Ta, it was modest. To Jaya, it was a fortress made from the corpses of giant plants. You live inside dead vegetation? She asked through her translator. Ta laughed. When you put it that way, it sounds strange. Inside, Jaya marveled at the simplicity of human dwelling. No atmospheric regulators, no radiation shields, not even basic sonic pest deterrents. Just wooden walls, glass windows, and a roof to keep out rain. The cabin had a small kitchen, a living area with a couch, a bathroom, and a bedroom. Simple technology by Earth standards, a refrigerator, a stove, electric lights, looked primitive to Jaya yet somehow ingenious. You should rest, Ta suggested, preparing the couch with blankets and pillows. I'll get you some water. Jaya sat carefully on the couch, testing its strange, soft surface. Her environmental suit was running low on power. Soon, she would need to rely on the emergency pills in her survival kit to help her body process Earth's atmosphere. Tag returned with a glass of clear liquid. Water, he said, offering it to her. Jaya examined the glass suspiciously. You drink this, with no purification treatments. Ta nodded, confused by her concern. It's just water from the spring. It's clean. Your species consumes dihydrogen monoxide in its raw form. Fascinating. Jaya pulled out a small device from a compartment in her suit and waved it over the water. Ta had initially flinched when she first used this tool, mistaking it for a weapon. Now he understood it was some kind of scientific instrument. On my world, water must be processed extensively before consumption. Raw water contains microorganisms that would cause severe illness. Ta frowned. There are bacteria in our water too, but our bodies can handle them. Our immune systems are pretty strong. Remarkable, Jaya said, making another note in her data recorder. Your species has internalized defenses against environmental toxins that would kill most galactic citizens instantly. Over the next 3 days, Ta found himself playing host to the most unusual guest. He hadn't reported the crashed ship to his superiors, who would believe him. Instead, he called in sick, claiming a bad case of flu. This gave him time to help Jia and learn about her world. Each discovery about Earth seemed to both terrify and fascinate Jia. The meat Tai cooked for dinner horrified her. Her species consumed only synthesized nutrients. The vegetables from his garden were analyzed extensively before she would taste them, and even then, she needed to take special pills to help digest Earth food. By the 3rd day, Jaya had modified her soup to better handle Earth conditions, though she still moved slowly and carefully. They sat on the porch in the evening, Jaya wrapped in blankets despite the mild spring temperature. "Tell me about how you sleep," she said, her large eyes blinking curiously. "What do you mean?" "I just lie down and close my eyes for about 7 hours, Tai explained. "And you're completely unconscious, vulnerable to predators." Jaya couldn't hide her shock. "How else would we sleep?" Ta laughed. "My species enters brief rest cycles while remaining alert. Extended unconsciousness would mean death on most worlds." Jaya explained that Elorans slept for only minutes at a time, with parts of their brain remaining active for danger detection. "That sounds exhausting," Ta said. "Don't you ever feel the need for deep rest?" "Not until experiencing Earth's gravity," Jayad admitted. "Everything here requires more energy." Their conversation was interrupted by a low rumble in the distance. Jia froze, her body tensing. "Just thunder," Tade reassured her. "A storm's coming. Your atmosphere randomly generates electrical discharges, and you're not concerned." Jaya's translator couldn't fully convey her alarm, but her widened eyes and rigid posture made it clear. "It happens all the time. As long as we're not out in the open or under a tall tree, we're fine." The storm approached quickly. Dark clouds rolled across the sky, and the wind picked up. Fat raindrops began to fall, pattering on the cabin roof. Jaya watched in horror as Ta casually extended his hand beyond the porch roof, letting raindrops strike his skin. "Doesn't that hurt you?" she asked. "Why would rain hurt me? On my world, precipitation is highly acidic. It would burn through protective gear within minutes." Tai tried to imagine a world where rain was dangerous. "Our rain is just water, sometimes a bit dirty from pollution, but mostly harmless." Lightning flashed, illuminating the forest in brilliant white. Thunder cracked immediately after, shaking the windows. Jia made a high-pitched sound Tai hadn't heard before, perhaps her species' version of a scream. "That discharge contained enough energy to power an Eloran city for days," she whispered. "And it just happens thousands of times every day somewhere on Earth," Ta confirmed. Jaya stood shakily and moved to the window, watching the storm with a mixture of terror and wonder. Rain now fell in sheets. Wind bent the trees. Lightning flashed again. "Everything on this planet is trying to kill you," she whispered. "Yet you thrive." Ta had never thought about Earth that way. The planet wasn't trying to kill anyone. It was just Earth. But seeing it through Jaya's eyes made him realize how harsh their world might seem to others. "Maybe that's why we are the way we are," Ta suggested. "We had to adapt to survive here." "Your species must be incredibly resilient," Jaya said. She pointed to a small cut on Ta's hand from chopping firewood earlier. "Even your healing abilities are accelerated. That wound would take weeks to close for my people." The storm intensified. A particularly close lightning strike made the lights flicker. Jia jumped. "Don't worry," Ta said. "The cabin is safe." "How can you be so certain?" "I've weathered hundreds of storms like this. Trust me." Jia considered his words. Trust was not given easily among her people, especially to an unknown species. But on this death world, perhaps trusting its native inhabitants was the best survival strategy. "I am learning much about humans," she said. "Your adaptability is your greatest strength. Perhaps that is why my people were warned never to underestimate Deathworlders." The 5th day of Jaya's unexpected Earth visit began with urgent knocking at the cabin door. Tai, who had been preparing a breakfast of eggs and rice, froze. No one should be visiting his remote station without radio contact first. "Stay quiet," he whispered to Jia, who was examining a houseplant with her scanning device. She immediately understood the tension in his voice and moved silently to the bedroom, closing the door behind her. Tai opened the front door to find his colleague Min standing there looking worried. "There you are. I've been trying to reach you for days," Min said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. "Something crashed in the eastern sector. The military has gotten involved. They're saying it might be a satellite or experimental aircraft, but the security level is insane." Tai kept his expression neutral. "I've been sick. My radio's battery died." Min looked around the cabin suspiciously. "There are 2 cups on the table." "I use multiple cups," Ta said quickly. "Less washing." Min shrugged. "Anyway, they've asked all rangers to report anything unusual. Have you seen anything strange in the past week?" Ta shook his head. "Nothing unusual. Just been fighting this flu." After Min finally left, Tay rushed to the bedroom. Jia was sitting perfectly still beside the bed, her large eyes reflecting concern. "We need to move," Tai insisted, pulling a backpack from under his bed and stuffing supplies inside. "Someone reported the crash site. Government vehicles have been circling the area." "Is this bad?" Jia asked, her translator making her voice sound artificially calm despite her obvious anxiety. "Very bad. If they find you, they'll take you away. You'd be studied, maybe even dissected." Jaya's blue skin paled to a lighter shade. "My people have records of such behavior from primitive species. I've contacted my rescue ship, but they're days away." Within 20 minutes, Ta had packed essential supplies: food, water, first aid kit, a small tent, matches, and warm clothing. He helped Jaya into a large jacket that covered most of her alien features and pulled a hat low over her distinctive eyes. "We'll head deeper into the national park," he explained. "There are caves in the western mountains where we can hide until your people arrive." The journey was difficult from the start. Jia struggled with Earth's gravity, each step requiring tremendous effort. What would have been an easy hike for Ta became an exhausting ordeal for his alien companion. They had to stop frequently for her to rest. "How much farther?" Jaya asked after they had been walking for 3 hours. "Another day at this pace," Tai admitted. "Maybe 2. As they traveled, Todd pointed out features of the forest. He showed her edible berries, medicinal plants, and signs of animal activity. Jia documented everything with her scanning device, but classified most of Earth's flora and fauna as dangerous. "This small plant has defensive thorns," she noted, pointing to a blackberry bush. "And this one produces toxic compounds," she added about a perfectly ordinary-looking flower. A bee buzzed past, causing Jaya to freeze in terror. "What is that flying creature?" she whispered. "Just a bee. They make honey. It has a weaponized stinger. You coexist with venomous creatures that can inject toxins directly into your bloodstream." Ta couldn't help laughing. "Most won't bother you if you don't bother them," he explained. "Besides, a bee sting just hurts a little. It's not deadly unless you're allergic. On my world, even the smallest venomous creature could kill instantly," Jaya said. "Your species' resistance to toxins is extraordinary." By late afternoon, They reached a small clearing beside a stream. Ta decided they should stop for the night, as Jaya was clearly exhausted. Her breathing was labored, and she moved with increasing difficulty. "We'll camp here," he said. "Drink some water, and take one of your medicine pills." Jaya gratefully sank to the ground, her slender limbs trembling from exertion. She took a small purple pill from a compartment in her suit, which Ta had learned helped her process Earth's oxygen without damaging her respiratory system. "Your cellular structure must be incredibly resilient," Jaya observed as Ta effortlessly set up their small camp. "My body wasn't designed for this environment. Every system is struggling against your world's conditions." As darkness fell, Ta built a small fire. The night grew cold quickly in the mountains, though what felt chilly to Ta was apparently optimal for Jaya. She seemed more comfortable in the cooler night air, her movements becoming slightly easier. "The stars look different from the ground," she said, gazing upward. "My people have only studied your world from orbit. Which one is your home?" Ta asked. Jaya pointed to a faint star in the western sky, not visible to your naked eye, but in that direction, many light years away. Their peaceful moment was interrupted by a distant sound, the rhythmic thump of helicopter rotors echoing through the valley. Ta immediately extinguished the fire, kicking dirt over the embers. "They're searching at night?" Jaya asked, fear evident in her voice. "They must be using thermal imaging," Ta replied grimly. "They're tracking us." Through gaps in the trees, they could see searchlights sweeping the forest floor. The helicopters were moving methodically, covering a grid pattern that would eventually include their location. "We need to mask our heat signatures," Ta whispered. His military training from years before was coming back to him. Before becoming a park ranger, he had served 4 years in special forces. The stream will help. Despite the freezing temperature of the mountain water, Ta waded in without hesitation. Jaya followed reluctantly, gasping as the cold water enveloped her legs. "Keep low," Ta instructed. "The water will hide our body heat from their sensors." They moved downstream for nearly a kilometer, staying in the water despite Jaya's obvious discomfort. When they finally emerged, Ta led them to a dense thicket. "Wait here," he said, then disappeared into the darkness. Jaya huddled among the bushes, her wet clothing magnifying the night's chill. Despite her suit's attempts to regulate her body temperature, she felt colder than she had ever experienced. 20 minutes passed before Ta returned. "I found a place," he whispered, "but we need to hurry." The place turned out to be a shallow cave formed by fallen boulders. Ta quickly constructed a simple shelter using branches, leaves, and the emergency thermal blanket from his pack. Within minutes, he had created a hidden refuge that blended perfectly with the surrounding forest. "Your adaptability is remarkable," Jaya noted, watching him work. "No wonder your species conquered this Deathworld." Ta smiled grimly. "We haven't conquered it. We've just learned to survive in it. Sometimes I think Earth is still winning." As they settled into their hidden shelter, the sound of helicopters grew fainter. For now, they had evaded detection, but both knew this was just the beginning of their struggle to stay hidden until Jaya's rescue ship arrived. "How many more days until your people come?" Ta asked quietly. 3, perhaps 4, Jaya replied. "Their engines must move carefully through your system to avoid detection." Ta nodded. "Then we keep moving tomorrow. West, toward the higher mountains. There are caves there that not even the Park Service has fully mapped." Jaya looked at him curiously. "Why are you risking so much to help me?" Ta considered the question. "Because it's the right thing to do. And because I think our worlds should meet properly, not through government seizure and secret laboratories. My people have much to learn from yours," Jaya admitted. "We've always feared Deathworlders, but perhaps we should have been studying you instead." The western mountains grew steeper with each passing day. Ta and Jada had been on the move for nearly a week, staying ahead of the government search teams by traveling at night and hiding during daylight hours. Their progress was slow, limited by Jaya's struggle with Earth's gravity and her need for frequent rest. The cave system should be just beyond the next ridge, Ta said as they paused beside a small mountain stream. The morning sun filtered through the tall pines, casting dappled light on the forest floor. We can hide there until your rescue ship arrives. Jaya nodded wearily. Her normally blue skin had taken on a grayish tint, and the protective film generated by her environmental suit was beginning to fail in places. Earth's atmosphere was slowly poisoning her. My ship's sensors indicate they will reach extraction range tomorrow, she said, checking a small device on her wrist. But they cannot land. I must reach a clearing large enough for them to use a gravity beam. They had narrowly escaped capture twice in the past 3 days. The first time, they had hidden in a hollow log while soldiers with tracking dogs passed mere meters away. The second time had required them to wade through a fast-moving river that had nearly swept Jia away. Ta had grabbed her just in time, his human strength proving once again to be their salvation. As they prepared to continue their journey, a distant sound made Ta freeze. The unmistakable drone of helicopter rotors echoed through the valley. "They're getting closer," he whispered, gathering their few belongings. "We need to move now." The steep terrain made their progress painfully slow. What should have been a 2-hour hike stretched into 4 as Jaya struggled against Earth's crushing gravity. Each step was a battle for her. Each breath labored under the oxygen-rich atmosphere that burned her lungs. There, Ta pointed to a rock face partially hidden by dense vegetation. "The cave entrance is behind those bushes." Before they could reach it, the helicopter sound suddenly intensified. They looked up to see not 1 but 3 military helicopters cresting the ridge behind them. "Run," Ta shouted, grabbing Jaya's arm. They sprinted for the cave entrance, but the uneven ground proved treacherous. Jaya stumbled, losing her footing on the rocky slope. She tumbled downward, sliding nearly 20 meters down a muddy embankment before Ta could reach her. The fall had torn her environmental suit in several places. Earth's atmosphere made immediate contact with her exposed blue skin, causing angry red blisters to form. Jia made a high-pitched keening sound, her species equivalent of a cry of pain. Ta helped her to her feet and half-carried her to a small outcropping of rocks where they could hide temporarily from aerial view. He quickly pulled the first aid kit from his backpack and began applying antiseptic cream to her wounds. "Your atmosphere. It burns," Jaya gasped, her translator struggling to convey the level of pain she experienced. "Why are you helping me?" she asked as Ta gently bandaged her injuries. "Your government would reward you for turning me in." Ta shrugged. "Because it's right. You're lost and need help." Jaya stared at him with her large alien eyes. "My species would never risk themselves for an unknown alien. Maybe that's why you fear worlds like ours," Ta suggested as he finished treating her wounds. "We had to help each other to survive here. Humans evolved in dangerous conditions. We learned early that cooperation improved our chances." The sound of vehicles interrupted their conversation. Not helicopters this time, but the rumble of all-terrain vehicles moving up the forest service road below them. "They're surrounding the area," Ta said grimly. "We need to reach that cave system." They moved as quickly as Jaya's injuries would allow, staying low among the rocks and vegetation. The cave entrance was less than 100 meters away when the first soldiers appeared on the ridge above them. "There. Movement in Sector 4. A voice called out. Tai pushed Jaya toward a fallen tree. "Stay down." But it was too late. They had been spotted. A soldier in tactical gear appeared from behind a boulder, rifle raised. "Freeze. Government agents. Hands where I can see them." Ta slowly raised his hands. "We mean no harm. Please, just listen." The soldier's eyes widened as he caught sight of Jaya's alien appearance. His finger tightened on the trigger reflexively. Without hesitation, Tai threw himself between them just as the rifle discharged. The bullet struck his shoulder, the impact spinning him around and sending him crashing to the ground. "Ta." Jaya's translator couldn't fully capture the alarm in her voice. Blood spread across Ta's jacket. The soldier, apparently shocked by what he'd done, froze momentarily. That brief hesitation gave Jaya the chance she needed. She grabbed Ta, and with strength she didn't know she possessed, dragged him behind a large boulder. Her muscles screamed in protest against Earth's gravity, but adrenaline, or her species equivalent, gave her temporary power. Jaya faced a choice: flee toward her approaching rescue ship or help the injured human. Everything in her training told her to save herself. This was a death world. Survival was the priority. The human had made his choice. Yet something deeper than training moved within her. She pulled a medical device from her survival kit and activated it over Ta's wound. The device emitted a soft blue light as it analyzed the injury. Projectile penetration. Significant tissue damage. No major arterial involvement, the device reported in her language. Jaya selected a treatment protocol and pressed the device against Ta's shoulder. It released a gel-like substance that spread over the wound, sealing it and delivering pain suppressants and antibiotics. Why? Ta gasped through the pain, his eyes questioning. Because it's right, Jaya replied, her translator perfectly capturing his earlier words. The soldier was calling for backup. Soon, more would arrive. Jia checked her wrist device. Her rescue ship had detected the situation and was accelerating its approach. They would be within range in 40 minutes. We need to reach open ground, she told Ta. Can you move? Ta winced as he sat up. The alien medical treatment had already stopped the bleeding and dulled the pain. I think so. There's a meadow about half a kilometer up the trail. Would that work? Jaya checked her device again. Yes, that should provide sufficient clearance for the gravity beam. They moved through the forest as quietly as possible, staying low and using the dense undergrowth for cover. Tay's injury slowed them, but his knowledge of the terrain allowed them to evade the searching soldiers. As they traveled, Jaya noticed something remarkable. Despite his injury, Tay adapted quickly, finding ways to move that minimized pain. His body was already working to heal itself, fighting off infection and beginning the repair process. The resilience of humans continued to amaze her. Your species recovers from injuries that would be fatal to mine, she observed. Our medical technology is advanced, but our bodies are fragile. We've had to be tough to survive here, Ta said through gritted teeth. Earth doesn't forgive weakness. When they finally reached the edge of the small mountain meadow, the sun was beginning to set. Jaya's device blinked rapidly. My ship is in position, she said. They will activate the gravity beam in 2 minutes. The sound of vehicles and voices grew closer. The soldiers had followed their trail and were closing in from multiple directions. They're almost here, Ta warned. Jaya looked at the human who had risked everything to help her. Come with me, she said suddenly. My people should meet yours properly. You would be an ideal representative. Ta looked surprised. Leave Earth. Temporarily. You would be returned when safe. Before Tai could answer, the first soldiers emerged from the trees at the meadow's edge. At the same moment, a brilliant column of blue light descended from the sky, enveloping Jaya and Ta in its glow. The soldiers stood transfixed as the two figures began to rise slowly into the air, their forms becoming indistinct within the shimmering light. The Ellerin ship's medical bay was unlike anything Ta had ever seen. Hovering medical instruments moved with precise control, while holographic displays monitored his vital signs. His shoulder wound had been completely healed within hours of their arrival, though the ship's lighter gravity made him feel strangely buoyant and slightly nauseous. Your recovery rate is extraordinary, the Ellerin medical officer told him. Your cellular regeneration happens at triple our species rate. Ta had spent 3 days aboard the vessel while Earth governments scrambled to respond to the sudden appearance of alien visitors. World leaders had gathered for emergency meetings. Military forces had been placed on high alert. News networks broadcast constant updates about the first contact situation. They're ready for us to return, Jaya announced as she entered the medical bay. Her time back in her natural environment had restored her health. Her blue skin glowed with vitality, and she moved with an easy grace impossible on Earth. The humans have agreed to a meeting. Will they let me go home? Tai asked. Though fascinated by the alien ship, he worried about being labeled a traitor or collaborator. You are returning as our honored guest and diplomatic liaison, Jaya assured him. Your government has agreed to our terms. The landing site selected for the historic meeting was the same mountain meadow where they had been extracted. As the Ellerin ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, Ta looked out the viewing portal at the scene below. Military vehicles formed a perimeter around the meadow. Official-looking black cars lined one side. News helicopters hovered at a safe distance. Quite a reception committee, Tai observed. Your species mobilizes quickly, Jaya replied. Our scientists are impressed. The Ellerin rescue ship hovered 10 meters above the clearing, its gravitational dampeners flattening the grass below. A soft blue light emanated from its smooth hull, casting an otherworldly glow over the scene. Government vehicles surrounded the area, creating a tense standoff. A ramp extended from the ship to the ground. Captain Sun, the Ellerin vessel commander, stood at the top with Jaya and Ta. Remember, the captain said quietly, this is a preliminary discussion only. Our council must still decide on formal relations. Jaya nodded. I understand, Captain. The three descended the ramp slowly. Jaya's newly repaired environmental suit hummed softly as it worked to protect her from Earth's hostile atmosphere. Tai walked beside her, his arm in a supportive sling, though his wound was healed. The Elorans had suggested this would make the humans more comfortable, showing he had been treated well. A delegation of human officials waited at the bottom. Tad recognized military uniforms, government suits, and what appeared to be scientific personnel. Jaya stood between the two groups, her damaged environmental suit barely functioning despite repairs, her body already weakening from exposure to Earth's brutal conditions. Beside her stood Tai, appearing confident despite his nervousness. My research findings are clear, Jaya announced to both the human officials and Captain Sun. Humans aren't the monsters we believe them to be. They're survivors, adapted to conditions we find unbearable. Captain Yoon of the Korean Special Forces stepped forward. And why should we trust your kind? You've been observing our planet without permission. Because despite what you think, Jaya replied, we fear you more than you could possibly fear us. This planet has forged your species into something remarkable. Where we see danger, you see home. Her statement created a murmur among the human delegation. We classified Earth as a death world, Jaya continued, a planet too dangerous for contact. But my accidental visit here has shown me that we were wrong. Humans are not aggressive because of bloodthirst, but because your world demanded strength to survive. A woman in a business suit stepped forward. I am Minister Kim, representing the International Response Committee. We have many questions about your intentions. As do we, Captain Sun replied. But I believe we can find common ground. The initial meeting lasted 3 hours. Ta found himself translating not just words but concepts between the two groups. The Elorans struggled to understand human concepts like nation-states and competing governments. The humans had trouble grasping the Ellerin unified species governance. When the meeting concluded, both sides agreed to establish formal diplomatic channels. The Elorans would share limited technology, particularly medical advancements, while humans would provide cultural and biological research access. Ranger Ta, Minister Kim said before departing, your government recognizes your unique position in this historic moment. Your actions will be considered service to humanity, not treason. Todd felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Thank you, Minister. 3 months passed in a whirlwind of diplomatic activity. The United Nations established a special committee on extraterrestrial relations. Scientists from both worlds began cautious exchanges of knowledge. And in Seoul, construction crews worked around the clock to complete a most unusual building. The Ellerin Embassy was unlike any structure on Earth. Its exterior resembled blue-tinted glass, but the material was actually a specially designed composite that filtered Earth's radiation. Inside, atmospheric regulators maintained conditions similar to the Ellerin homeworld, with lower oxygen levels and reduced gravity. Jaya returned to Earth as the first official Ellerin diplomatic representative. Her new role came with enhanced environmental protection and a team of support staff. Upon her arrival, she requested one specific human as her liaison officer. Tay, now employed by the International Diplomatic Corps, entered the embassy wearing an environmental suit designed for humans. The suit was necessary inside the embassy, where Earth's natural atmosphere would be toxic to the Ellerin staff. Ironic, isn't it? Jaya laughed as they shared a meal in her office, each eating their own biologically compatible food. Now you know how I felt. The difference is, you survived our Deathworld. Tay replied with a smile. I'm not sure I could survive yours. Through the embassy windows, Seoul's skyline stretched into the distance. Traffic moved along busy streets. People went about their daily lives, most still adjusting to the reality of alien visitors. That's the lesson I shared with my people, Jaya said. Humans don't thrive because your world is easy, but because you never stop adapting to its challenges. Perhaps we have much to learn from Earth's Deathworlders after all. The Ellerin Council had revised Earth's classification from avoid at all costs to approach with caution. Trade negotiations were underway, with strict protocols to protect both species. Cultural exchanges had begun, with human art and music particularly fascinating to Ellerin scholars. And in universities across Earth, a new field of study emerged: comparative xenobiology. The leading textbook featured an introduction co-written by an alien diplomat and a former park ranger who had found common ground despite evolving on worlds that couldn't be more different. What happens next? Tai asked, looking out at the city. Next, we build bridges, Jaya replied, between worlds that were never meant to meet but perhaps always needed each other. Outside the embassy, crowds of curious humans gathered daily, hoping to glimpse the alien visitors. Many brought gifts or signs of welcome. A few protested the alien invasion, but they were vastly outnumbered by those eager to learn about their galactic neighbors. Earth continued its journey through space, still dangerous, still demanding, still a death world by Ellerin standards. But now, it was also something else, a place of possibility where different worlds could find common ground, and where understanding could grow even in the harshest conditions.